A very good evening, beautiful people. Here we are, Champions League night at the Etihad Stadium. What a treat it is to be with you. My name is Cel Spellman. Welcome along to Matchday Live. And of course, we are hosting Sporting Lisbon in this second leg. Current score stands at 5-0, so it does look very promising. But we do not count our chickens before they've hatched, ladies and gentlemen. Here to get into all the action before tonight's game, we have got an awesome panel. In fact, I'd go as far to say one of my favourite panels of the season so far, because it comes in the form, of course, Trevor Sinclair, Nedum Onuoha. Look at that smile there. He's happy
say that
to be
every
here.
week, that's the thing.
I actually don't. I've never said that in an intro before.
What do you mean one-off?
Hang on. Well, you know, I can't just... Well, if I just say you three, I've got a whole other lot of guests I've got to keep
but they're
up
not
with.
here.
No, they're not. But well, you're never here, Esme. So that's why
true.
you are one of the spirit. Esme Morgan as well, of course, from our ladies team. What a pleasure, Esme. Thanks for joining us as well.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Straight on my toes already before we've even begun. Okay, I see how it's going
Makes
down.
for a good show. Makes for a really good show.
And Trev, how are you this evening? You well?
Very well, yeah. Looking forward to the game. Obviously, great weekend for Manchester City, so let's hope we can follow that up with a good win tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if you're up for it, guys, but you're happy to maybe talk about the weekend's action in a few moments?
Yeah, it'd be rude not to.
Yeah.
I think we can, can't we? I mean, but maybe some
Still a
people
bit of time.
This might give it away what we're here to talk about as well in just a little bit, but of course we are, of course, talking about as well our Champions League night against Sporting Lisbon, and this is the place where you get team news first, and I do believe that I can bring you the team news in 3, 2, 1. Right about now, here we go. This is our starting 11 as chosen by Manchester City. You can see there at the bottom in goal. And we'll talk about our formation in just a second, as we always do with the Pep team. Edison starts in goal. We think a back four of John Stones, Aymeric Laporte, Zinchenko comes in at left back. And of course, captain of the EDS, he makes a jump to the first team. He's playing at right back. CJ Egan-Riley makes the starting 11. Holding our club captain, Fernandinho. He is partnered by Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. And a forward three of Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus. And I'll quickly run you through the bench. We have Scott Carson, Kieran Slicker, Jack Grealish, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, Kaiki, Delap, Samadozi, Luke Mbete and James McAtee. I mean, Nedum, I think when we spoke about the team, you said even when we're chopping and changing, still an absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, it's a very, very good team. You know, some of those rotations are probably key for Pep, but then you look at the people who come in, and also, like, I'm delighted to see CJ in there today. I can't wait to see him perform at this sort of level. The confidence it'll bring to himself, and also to the other people in the academy, because there is a pathway there. You know, what a great chance this is for him.
Well, also, if you can hear that at home, we are actually broadcasting from the City store. So there is just a little clear out happening as we speak, if you are wondering what that noise is.
This is as real as it gets, that's the thing. This is live TV for you, eh?
Well, Esme, what were your thoughts as well when you saw that starting 11?
Yeah, I think to reiterate what Ned said, really so excited to see CJ playing. As a young player myself, I love seeing people getting opportunities, and I think as a fan you feel a certain attachment to players who come through the academy, and you're so desperate to see them do well and take their opportunity. And as you said, show to the other lads on the bench that there's a path through, and beyond that,
And we always said as well, I think that path was kind of always there. Phil Foden's carved the way, but it does now feel, and you'll know Esme better than anyone, the reality is now if you're good enough and work hard enough and put your head down, you have a very strong possibility of making it to the starting 11, which I guess is everything because you're working towards something.
Yeah, I think now the academy players are so integrated into the first team. In the sessions after the matches, I think up to 10 of them sort of go across to the first team side and join in with the session with the subs who haven't played, and so they're always exposed to that level, that standard, and showing the coaches what they can do, so they're constantly reminding them of the talent that's coming through, and then obviously they're so clued in with the philosophy of the club so that when they do step in, they're able to just do it seamlessly.
Yeah, absolutely, and I guess that's everything for you.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've kind of shown my age here because I forgot about something from a little while ago, but that feeling of going over to train with the first team, I used to love it. Like, Fridays we'd be coming over to do set pieces and I was like throwing myself into everything. A few people would be looking at me like, what, this guy needs to calm down just a little. But to be around that team, to say for me, like, I used to go to games at Main Road. I was a ball boy at Main Road. I saw the transition when we first went over to the Etihad. I watched them against Barcelona, against TNS in the UEFA Cup, all that stuff. And to even get a chance to even be around them, people like this guy here as well. Like, that was incredible, and I think for these City players now, there's not an expectation that they will go with the first team, but I'm sure they appreciate the opportunity because the standard is so high and the expectation is so high as you arrive. Like, you're probably not getting that anywhere else in the league. So for me, it's the perfect place to be.
I felt the full weight of a Nedum Onuoha shoulder barge in some celebrations. Trev, did you ever feel that from a young Nedum Onuoha when he came over for a training?
Absolutely. He's left one on me tonight. Never mind then. Straight away, just give me a little nudge. Like,
just a little reminder.
No, but of course, when he came into the squad, he was a fantastic athlete. He was very humble. Straight away, you could see he was a leader. And, he had a bit of calmness about him. He wasn't boisterous, and he joined the group and integrated really well. And I think the way that he was so humble, that's why the lads accepted him. If he came in all screaming and shouting and trying to take 4 or 5 players on and not doing what he'd done to get himself that opportunity, the lads wouldn't have had him.
I'm troubled though because he's using a lot of past tense here. Like, I'm still humble. Don't be wrecking my brand now, pal.
I'm not sure about that one.
It's not time for that.
On the other side of it though, Trevor, as well, we know you kind of came up through Blackpool and that was kind of your journey, but I guess for the first team as well, it is a nice, I'm guessing, to have a bit of fresh energy.
Lovely.
To have that kind of new spark come in, I guess, which is actually an environment you're so used to. Yeah. It's also got to be beneficial for them.
It is, and I don't like to make comparisons, but it reminds me of what went on at West Ham when Rio Ferdinand, Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, Frank Lampard, when them players came through into the squad, straight away you could tell they were special players. But again, a little bit like Nedum, they had that humbleness, they wanted to prove themselves, but not by doing stupid things or doing things that they'd not done in training with their own group, but by coming in, taking responsibility and playing like a man.
Yeah,
there's something to be said, I think, as a youngster to come in and to be trusted by the seniors within a team.
Yeah.
Because that feeling there, like, you can't fully quantify it, but you feel like, as you walk off the field, it's brilliant. It's like what you've been working for.
Yeah.
You're still a young player, but they treat you as a peer. And I think for some, if you come over with the wrong sort of attitude, you can't really get that trust back. And once it's gone, like, as I say, that's it.
Do you remember one of your first? Esme, your rise has been meteoric, really. and it's a credit to your talent and playing ability. But do you still remember when you kind of got that first little chance to join the first team?
God, yeah, I was so nervous. I don't think I said a word to anyone. Now they can't shut me up. So we've come a long way. But yeah, I just remember being so nervous because I was a fan, obviously, before being a player for the club, and I admired these people so much, looked up to them. I'd be chanting their songs in the stands, and then to be playing alongside them and have them telling me to check my shoulder or do whatever, I thought, oh God, like, just trying so hard to please them and everything. But I think as a senior player, when you've got young players who are so hungry to come up, you probably know yourself, like, the session after a game, if you're a sub, you've not played, you're probably a little bit grumpy and hurt.
Yeah.
But if you've got young players coming up desperate to prove themselves, it just lifts the standard of that session, and they bring so much energy. I think that's a huge bonus for the first team players too.
Absolutely massive. We can also see as well here that the first team are arriving. Digging a bit more into this starting 11, of course, Trev, we've got that 5-0 lead from the away fixture, but as we know, Pep says we take every game as seriously as the last. Zinchenko comes in at left back. Yeah. Really great to see him, I think, in the team, isn't it?
I think it says a lot about his personality. The atrocities that are going on in Ukraine, family, friends, everything he's known from his childhood. He'll be thinking about it all the time. So for him to get away from that, this is the perfect place. As soon as you get over that white line on the football pitch, you could just concentrate on football. So I think it'll be really well received from him. but he'll want to do a professional job. And listen, he's been a great servant to the club already.
Yeah.
You know, even though he's not played probably as much as he'd like to, when he's called upon, he always produces.
He really, really does. Another one that always produces, and he's not been able to due to an injury. But Jesus back in the starting 11, Nedum, how massive is that for City at the moment?
Yeah, it's huge. I think as you look towards the end of the season, you know how many games you could potentially have left. You want to have everybody involved. You want people to be fighting for places in the team, because as Esme was sort of alluding to, it sort of raises the standard when everybody's given their absolute best.
Yeah.
So you're always developing. It's not just on a Saturday where you go out. It's like from Monday through Friday and then the Saturday as well. So it's to see him go in. It's a chance for him to go out there, put in a good performance. If he's playing on the right, link up with CJ and other players within the side. And then once you get those sort of relationships and sort of tactics and so on rolling with each other, like, you know, every time you go out and play, you're a great option. And you know you can do really, really well. So I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get out there, show what his worth, because it's very easy in this team for people to forget about you when you have the stars that currently exist.
Do you prefer him on the right or down the middle?
Do you know what? It depends. Like, I think that's the beauty of a lot of the players in this team. I think it depends who they're playing against. Like, even somebody said, what's Phil Foden's best position? I say it depends who they're playing against or whatever. Because I could see him going and playing wide left and destroying the right back. But then I could see him playing in the 8 and destroying the 6. So, like, it literally depends who they're playing against. And if they want somebody that's got really sharp movement in terms of posting up and all that, him through the middle is brilliant. If they want his work rate out wide and the link-up play that he can have, again, it's fantastic. So I think to have football players with that type of footballing IQ within your side, you know, it's a blessing, because this versatile thing in this City team, it's not a weakness, it's a huge strength.
Yeah, and we were just seeing there as well, him turn up as well. Another one when you talk about energy, seems to kind of be a bit undroppable, really, bar maybe the odd game Pep wants to give him a rest for. Bernardo Silva, I mean, class at the weekend as well, Esme, but this season he's having, it's frightening, really, isn't it?
I don't think he needs rest, does he? He could just play every single game in the season. That was just ridiculous.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. And it's the work off the ball, though, as well, isn't it? They're the kind of things that actually, I think, make him, you know, separate him from the rest, really.
Yeah, I think that's what endears himself so much to supporters. Like, we love a hard worker, and he's the absolute epitome of that. But he's just so talented.
Yeah,
he's good at everything.
And he's got personality, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when we have to do the guard of honour and he's sipping his cup of tea before the look through I mean, it can be looked upon as disrespectful, but you just know that that's him. He's got that little bit of a nasty, naughty spelling, a streak in him, where he wants to show that personality. But again, we were talking off air earlier, and the Arsenal game, fantastic comeback to win that game 2-1. But in the dying seconds of that game, where Arsenal got a free kick and they're trying to take it quickly, and he just kicks the ball. Oh my God, I was crying, because
the most annoying players in the world.
That is the opposition team.
The most annoying in the world.
There was a great one as well, one of my other favourite, Bernardo. By the way, him holding a coffee cup is the picture I want signed of Bernardo Silva. But when he was turning up at Old Trafford, have you seen him when the United fans are chanting and he basically turns around and sticks his tongue out and just gives them a whole load of stuff?
That's what you want.
Genius.
You know what I mean? It's think how talented he is, think how hard-working he is, and he represents the people that support the football club. You know, they see a bit of themselves in him. He's not from Manchester, but what he's doing there, fans would be dreaming of doing that, winding people up. Like, as I say, it's brilliant when he's on your team. If you're playing against it, though, it would literally drive you insane.
Another player back into the fold from the weekend, and I thought he was going to start at the weekend, but so great that he can bring him in fresh, I guess, for a Champions League game. Raheem Sterling, Trev.
Yeah.
And he's obviously finding some beautiful form as well, and he's firing.
So pleased, not surprised. Yeah. Because he's done it throughout his career. You know, you can't play well all the time, because the spotlight is so fiercely on him all the time because of the standards. I mean, look at that. Stupid. Because of the standards he set himself. Whenever he dips slightly below that, people are on him. For whatever reason, people are on him. And sometimes he gets brought out of the squad just to, you know, maintain himself, maintain his standards, to get himself fit. But he goes, you hear managers talking about him throughout his career. Whatever the game is, if he's had a terrible game, he'll come in the next day and work his socks off. He's got that about him, and he'll always be successful because, listen, he's a bit of a freak as well. Look at his physique and the way that he's able to not get not get injured. You know, play a game 3 days later, play a game 3 days later again. He'll give you everything. And one of the best players. One of the best players in the Premier League.
One of the strongest in the team as well. Apparently, it's impossible to get off the ball.
Well, to be fair, as I look through that squad, like, we're comparing to like Bernardo and stuff, so you know what I mean. It's not like the heavyweight champion of the world, but pound for pound, I'm sure he's doing all right.
Slightly jealous there.
Although to be fair, another highlight for the weekend. Phil Foden. When he moved Wan-Bissaka out of the way.
Can we also
That's whiplash.
By the way, whoever on City's social team, I'll say it now, I've put that clip on Instagram, thank you. If you want to see it, go check out City's Instagram, because it's on there in all its glory. But speaking of Phil Foden, we're going to get to the weekend action in just a moment, don't worry. But he just seems to be getting better and better each game, doesn't he, Esme?
It's insane, and as your fan, you just love it because he's one of us. You can see how much passion he has for the club. He doesn't even have to be him scoring and he's going bonkers. When Kevin scored the other day, he was there punching the air, and I think he just represents each and every one of us when he's out on the pitch. But he's just, the way he controls the ball, and he always just seems to be cliche but 3 steps ahead, like he thinks so quickly, and I love how he receives it on the half turn. He's so positive on the ball. I just think he's a joy to watch.
We've also, if you think of the last 3 games, we've kind of seen him do 3 different positions really. I think Peterborough second half, he almost was midfield maestro from centre mid. We've seen him tear it up at the start of the season out on the left. He absolutely, dare I say, bullied Harry Maguire and Lindelof in the weekend. It's just, to do it in 3 different positions and excel, Trevor, you do see why he's been talked about the way he has from such a young age.
Well, there's a couple of things that come into play. When you look at the size of him, what was he, 5'7", quite light, he's quite light with that. So even coming through the academy, he's had to pick up skills that we wouldn't have had to pick up because he can't outstrength people, so he needs to know exactly where he is, where the ball is, where players around him are. So he's got that in abundance. He's got stronger now, and he's got quicker, so people have got problems because he's still got that skill set. So the amount of skills that he's got and to his profile of his how he can play, he's just got too many gears.
Yeah, too many facets to his game, absolutely. And final word, as we look to the bench, of course, as well, because maybe some of us, like myself, were hoping, would we see a James McAtee, you know, would we maybe see a Samadozi? Pep's been speaking about him earlier in the week. There was one that I saw on socials, and I myself and Esme were hoping might make the starting lineup, was Luke Mbete. He's not might come on, but he does seem a hell of a player, and you'll probably know him a bit better than I do, Esme.
Yeah, the way he sort of carries himself on the pitch, he really reminds me of Vincent Kompany. He's got that sort of dominant build, but his composure on the ball and the way he zips passes through the lines is just, he's the epitome of a Pep centre-back.
Wow, okay, yeah.
So I would have really liked to have seen him play, but he might come off the bench, hopefully.
He made, and you saying as well, he's a lovely lad.
He's a great guy, yeah. He's really funny, so like friendly and humble. Really great guy.
You know what it seems to be though, gents, and Nedum, you know this as well. There doesn't seem to be now no kind of any egos in the man. When I say City team, I'm talking about the women's team, the club. The club. That's got to be thought out, and that's got to be a choice.
Yeah. So maybe this is subtle shade and whatever, but there are certain clubs who just look for talent itself. But like here, they're trying to bring people in who fit into the identity of the football club, and they want it to be a football club with good people, talented people, hard-working people, and those with the drive to be as successful as they can be in whatever they do. So when you hear a story of like Mbete and so on, like, it doesn't surprise you. Look at the first team, the way they work hard together. Like in the derby on the weekend, Mahrez might not have touched it for 20 minutes, but he stayed there because that was his job. You know, that's the team before me, and that sort of mentality. It's like, it's what you can dream of playing in, because there's tons of people like who I've seen across the years who just wanted it to be about themselves. But in this team, none of it's about themselves. It's about the great good and the success. And lo and behold, throughout all the different teams in the club, they're all successful.
Yeah, special shout out to Cheeky there as well, who I know is instrumental in bringing in any signings to the club. Now, if you want to get in touch with us today, and I mean, why wouldn't you? Look who's on the show. You can drop us a little WhatsApp. We're up to date with all the new mod cons and all the different apps. WhatsApp is the best way to do it. There's our number. Send us a question, and I'll be putting them to our guests a little bit later on. Or maybe you might want to get involved in this. Now, today, and we're going to speak about him more in just a little bit. Today marks Fernandinho's 100th appearance in the Champions League. That is across him playing for Shakhtar Donetsk and, of course, Manchester City. And we want you to send us in your favourite Fernandinho moments, or maybe you just want to express your love for him, whatever that may be. Drop us a WhatsApp, or you can even use Twitter, use the hashtag ManCity. Get them in, and we'll be reading them out throughout the show, and we're going to be talking about him in just a little bit. But what we are going to talk about now is our big weekender. What a weekend it was for Manchester City across the board. We're going to begin right here, Esme, and talk us through, first of all, a massive congratulations to you and our ladies team, because you are, of course, the Conti Cup winners, and you stopped Chelsea doing it 3 times in a row. How was it, first of all? How was your weekend?
I mean, fun is the best word to describe it, I suppose. It was brilliant. I woke up, and people don't believe me when I say this, but I swear to you, I woke up on Saturday morning and I knew deep inside me, I could feel it that we were going to win.
Really, yeah.
And I was telling all the girls, I was like, girls, we're going to do it, I can feel it. And they were looking at me like, yeah, have you had some vision or something in the night? I hadn't had a vision, I just had this gut feeling that we were going to do it. And we were so good second half. First half, I was thinking, God, I might stop trusting my gut at this rate. It wasn't the best, but second half, we dominated. We absolutely battered them, and it was so much fun to watch.
I guess as well, it kind of comes as no surprise. It's been a difficult start to the season for the team, not to mention with a whole host of injuries, which for me outside the club seems to have been forgotten quite a lot. Esme, we'll come to yours in just a second. But it does seem to now that you've turned the page. Where has that come from? Obviously, players coming back, but was there a concerted effort as well going, something needs to give here?
I think the biggest thing was we had no pre-season as a team. We had so many girls off at the Olympics, and then combining that with all the injuries, just the preparation wasn't really there coming into the start of the season, and that was quite a different situation to what a lot of the other clubs have, so they were sort of had a head start almost. But I think like a lot of the talk before the game, I thought was quite disrespectful. People were just writing us off and saying that because Chelsea had beaten us earlier in the season, they were just naturally going to do it again. But I think we've just clicked in the style of play that Gaz wants us to play, and we've got a lot of momentum at the minute and a lot of confidence, and sort of when you say if something's changed, I think it was just a realisation that if we carry on the way we're going, we're not going to achieve any of the things we want to. We're not going to get any silverware. We won't make the Champions League. And we all sort of galvanised and came together and thought, actually, this isn't acceptable. This isn't what the club expects of us. It's not what we expect of ourselves.
Yeah.
And everyone sort of has just come together and really, really pushed on through the latter stages of the season up until now.
Which is case in point. I mean, 2 derby wins. Obviously, they were the holders for the last 2 years. That's been stopped there in its tracks. It's the first bit of silverware as well. I guess it's wins like this, Nedum, that can then make you kick on and really drive on to the end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And not to... I completely agree with what Esme was saying, but I think a key thing about the group of players that exist there is that when things are going wrong at the start of the season, they still carried on. And that gave them the opportunity to try and win in a final. Because when things are very much against you, you could maybe just throw the towel in, but they worked and they worked and they worked, and then things finally started going their way. And now these are the rewards, like, based on how they started. That's like people writing you off because they said, well, you're just going to carry on based on how you were, but you were deserved winners in this game against a side who feel like they're almost the nation's darlings as such.
Oh,
but you fully...
Second half played them off the park.
The incredible second half performances seem to be a common theme this weekend.
Yeah.
But like, as I say, they fully deserved it. And, I was doing co-coms for this game and I was really enjoying it. Really enjoying it because they played such good football.
Esme, does Caroline Weir score anything but screamers?
No.
Can we just take a moment? Like,
she's a joke, isn't
it's
she?
outrageous.
Yeah.
Like, filthy. Like, I'm also getting a bit embarrassed because I almost comment literally on any Instagram post or goal she puts up, just like, outrageous, filthy. It's like, that's all it seems to happen. Is it all the time in training as well?
Yeah, it's just silly. If you've got Kaz on your small-sided team, you've got a pretty good chance of winning because she picks up the ball from anywhere on the pitch and it's going in.
Yeah.
She tries that little dink, though, all the time, and the keepers hate it. Most of the time, they just pluck it out the air, no trouble. But in the derbies, she seems to pull it off, which is always a good habit.
That would be a very good habit against the best opposition as well. Go on, Trev.
Just looking at Gareth Taylor there, a lot of high-profile, knee-jerk maybe reactions to managers in the WSL and getting sacked, and there was talk of his job being under threat. I'm pleased that the club stuck with him because obviously it was out of his control the amount of injuries that he had. You could see he was he kept his. The thing I was impressed with, one, he kept his composure on the side. You didn't see him screaming and shouting because sometimes we've seen it, managers, because they don't know the answer, revert to base and they end up screaming and
yeah.
He kept his composure, kept his dignity, kept his counsel, kept working with the girls obviously on the training pitch, turned it around, and you could see the reaction there when they won that the Conti Cup. Everyone's pleased for him because everyone was talking about it in the media. In our jobs we were talking about it. So I was really pleased that the club stuck with him and that he's turned it around. And the first bit of silverware, superb.
Absolutely. We're going to hear from some more of the team in just a second. But Esme, of course, we know you picked up that terrible injury earlier on in the season, which I was absolutely gutted about for you. How is the recovery going, and how are you in yourself? Everything? How is it going?
It's going really well. I spoke to my surgeon last week in London and had like an update X-ray, and everything's healed and stuff, so I've sort of been given the green light to crack on and progress a bit, and I did some new things today, some new little running drills sort of things, so I get very excited whenever I do something new. It's all a novelty. All a novelty. Some of the girls were walking past in the corridor next to the gym while I was doing it, and I was like, Coombsy, Ellen, come and watch me do this. They probably thought I just want to go home, and I was making them all watch
It's
me.
the simple things, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And is there hope to maybe you'll be back on the pitch before the end of the season, hopefully, maybe?
Hoping to be back training with the team. I think maybe being back for matches might be a bit of a stretch, but I'm sort of content with that and at peace with it, and just know my role as a big supporter of the team, try and help the girls as well as I can, and then be back, have a full pre-season and be ready to start flying next year.
Oh, well, we for one can't wait, and that's a testament to yourself, that as well, Esme. Beautiful stuff. Well, we don't finish there, because today, over in the heart of the city, as you'll know, Manchester City is very much a club for the people, but not just for the people, for everyone who works here as well. And there's a really nice moment that took place where Gareth Taylor, Ellen White and Lauren Hemp went over there to bring this beauty of a cup with them to talk to some of the staff, and then they also said had a quick word for us here at Matchday Live.
Hempo, congratulations, Conti Cup winners. Has it sunk in yet?
Not really, to be fair. Obviously, it was a great game, and yeah, really unbelievable. And we were all celebrating that night, which was great. And obviously, the focus now turns back to the league. But yeah, what an unbelievable day that was, and to get one up on Chelsea, especially, was just even better.
What happened in the days following?
I think we had a couple of days off, and obviously we all celebrated like you would, and we went out for a meal last night as well, which was nice, and it was great to sort of have the team together and be able to celebrate that, because obviously these moments don't necessarily come around very often, so it's good to be able to celebrate that all together.
Tell us a little bit about what's happening today in the background here.
Yeah, so it's obviously nice that all the staff have come together to celebrate this trophy with us and sort of raise a toast, and we've got a lot to thank for all the staff here, and it's great that City's such a community where everyone comes together and can celebrate this, because it's not only the players that do it, it's all the staff as well.
And it really was an incredible weekend for the club. How important is it that all the teams joined together in celebration of those moments?
Yeah, it was great. Obviously the results for the 18s and for the men's team as well was just great, and to top off the weekend we obviously won as well, so it's nice that we've all come together to celebrate that, because it's not just us who have won a trophy, it's the men's team, it's the 18s who have all put in a shift this weekend, so yeah, it's great to have everyone here to celebrate.
Thank you so much to Lauren Hunt there, and a massive congratulations as well, of course, to our women's team that have won that Conti Cup, taking it away from Chelsea in the first bit of silverware for the season. But the celebrations did not stop there. There were two derbies taking place, first one being the under-18s, and they won just by the small margin of 5-1. So it's I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening on the red side of Manchester. Or it's almost at the point, dare I say, I feel a little bit sorry for them. But you know, we'll get to the.
Not sure about that. That's a bit far.
Listen, I'm the presenter. I'll try and play, keeping it calm. But we're speaking of the 5-1, Nedum. For our under-18s, just how good is that? And what does it say, obviously, of course, about our younger players that are coming through?
I think it's incredible, because for some people it's not even a surprise, and I think it shows, as is the case with the men's team and to the women's team to a certain extent, like City are on the rise. United are either stagnating or feels like they're going backwards. And, in my lifetime, in Trev's, in your own, that's not a conversation we thought that we'd be having. But the distance between the two is getting wider, and who would have thought it'd be going in the favour of City? But for that game there, set the tone for a beautiful weekend there, because it's 5-1 there, and then who's next up? Who wants a bit of the action?
Who wants a bit
then
of the
Conti
action?
Cup, and then Sunday comes. Who's up? Go on then. Let's sort them out.
Do you know? I think it's important to say as well, what people don't realise, it's kind of, this, Nedum, within City's academy, that a lot of the players, they play an age up, don't they? So actually, it's got a lot of kind of under-17s who are in that game. So for them as well, Trev, the confidence, and also I guess the ability that I guess is on show is frightening.
Yeah, it's a mismatch, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it reflects the club.
Yeah.
I think, listen, since Pep's come in, I think he's changed the way people look at football, people play football in this country. We didn't feel that we could play the continental way. Obviously he's been at Barcelona, he's been at Bayern Munich, but I just feel the game's evolved, and I think it's turned into a passing game, all about patterns, all about brilliant basics, all about movements and rotating. And I think you're doing it from the under-7s, under-8s, all the way through the academy, into the EDS, into the first team. Everyone knows. You could bring an under-15s player, if he's physically ready, put him in with the 23s, and he'll do the same job.
Wow.
And probably the opposition won't get near the ball.
I echo everything he said, but again, another thing which may have been levelled at another side this weekend is to still appreciate the fact that there's a derby as well.
Yeah.
And it's more than just talent alone that needs to go into winning one of those games.
Well, that's how we won games against Manchester United back in the day.
Exactly.
They're better teams than us.
Exactly.
It's about representing the city, representing the blue side
and
of the
they do
city,
that very well
and
throughout
making
the club,
sure you take that pride, and you're proud after the game, so you can look back on your performance. And I don't think Manchester United players will be proud of that performance.
No, if someone wants to give Wan-Bissaka a shout and show him this, maybe he might find that. Shots fired from Spellman. I'm sorry. Let's move on to the. I can't help it. Moving on, of course, to the derby as well that took place in the afternoon. The brilliant win, Esme. I mean, first of all, what did you make of it?
It was so good. The biggest thing I enjoyed was the atmosphere in the Etihad.
Yes.
It was bouncing. And I was up in South Stand level 3, so we're sort of close to the United fans. And I just love like the rivalry, the chants going back and forth.
Yeah.
It was so much fun as a fan to watch. And just to see us dominate like that, as you say, it's not something that we've always done like in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And the gulf between the two teams is, well, it's hilarious, really.
Big energy. Listen, I don't disagree.
Well, I mean, if ever case in point, the second half clearly showed that. I think we'll show the goals in another clip. But Pep, I think, went on to say as well that there was the second half is one of the best performances that we've ever put in as a Manchester City team in his time. It was frightening. I keep using that word, but frightening at times. Trevor.
Again, the patterns of play, the rotation, the understanding between the group of players, just keeping the ball. No one was doing brilliant things on the ball. They were all doing simple things, but absolutely dictating the game.
Yeah.
Not allowing Manchester United to get anywhere near it. And in the end, and it's a little bit like out of possession when you play against Manchester City, in the end, you get frustrated because you win the ball back and they take it off you within 5-10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they have it for 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, we'll have it for a couple of minutes, you can have it 5 seconds, and then we'll just toy with you for a while.
Yeah.
Tire you out, and then when we're ready, we'll mount an attack.
Yeah.
And,
You're right.
it was boys against men.
The thing is, it's doing the right things as well. It may seem unglamorous, but you run to that position because that's the right place to be. You play the ball there because that's the right ball to make. You make that run because that's the right run to make. And you might not get the ball, but it helps somebody else out on your team. You know what I mean?
And it's taking the maverick out of it a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have to say that, because you look at Liverpool and they're still, I think their philosophy is still on mavericks. But you look at the way we play, it's just a winning machine.
Yeah, I think Kel described it right, because it's a nightmare. Because within that United team, their spirit was killed. It was killed because they could, you could go as an individual and say, right, I'm going to go and try and make a difference, but you're going alone because the people behind you, they can't get out of their half.
But it's ebbs and flows, and sometimes you might have 3 or 4 players, right, let's get into him. And then they get frustrated because they don't get near it. And then you'll get another player, and it's just like, here's the
Very
big thing for me.
disjointed.
It's the big thing for me, Trevor. I remember when we played at City, if we were playing out from the back, there was a point where I'd be playing right back and I'd be standing on the line, out wide, and the ball might be on the left. But as soon as it starts to get a bit iffy, I'm running straight back in, even though we've got the ball. Whereas for City, you stand in the right spot and you know the ball's going to come because all the right decisions will be made to get the ball down in the end.
When you've got Edison, he's probably better than anyone.
He's rolling it back to him. You see an attacker's be like, do I bother? Is there any reason for that?
I wouldn't press him. You'd just get embarrassed, wouldn't you?
It's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
Waste of energy. So it's almost like a get out of jail card all the time when you're playing out from the back for Manchester City, because he is so good. And even if he gets it under pressure, he obviously doesn't panic, but he's got 3 or 4 options. Everyone gets on them passing lanes where they've got to. You'll know better than me. You're working with it every day, this same philosophy. So, but seeing it as a fan, as an ex-player, I'd love to be involved in a team like this, because I was always said, in my role as a winger, get the ball, take your fullback. If I'm playing against Ashley Cole or something, I'm thinking maybe 5 times out of 10 I might be able to do that. You take it, and then your confidence starts to wane. This team, you just pass it, get it, give it, move, get it, give it, move.
Yeah. Even say going back when this was when you were just a wee child. But we roll the ball out at the back, and what you see numbers from people who don't want to receive it, and they're pointing forward saying, "Yo, send it out."
Coaches have evolved now.
Miss me out. Don't play it to me. But then the ball you need to play is now through the eye of a needle to somebody who is outnumbered. Then you play, and then they turn around and say, "Oh, for goodness sake, go on, do better." But
it's like where we always say on the show, but it's the Jolien story with David Silva when he says in pre-season, and David said he's just joined, he's screaming at Jolien saying, "Pass me the ball," and Jolien's looked at him and gone, "Nah, there's a man on your back. You're all right."
I did the same thing,
and he says,
I did the same thing. David, there's a man behind you. I'm not going to play you the ball. Played it the other way, and he's looking at me like I'm an idiot. Then the next thing, you play it to him under pressure, and you see now he's in control of not just the ball, but the person that's marking him, creating something for someone else, and that's why there's a statue of him outside the stadium.
Speaking of atmosphere, by the way, how great was it to see this make a return to the Etihad Stadium?
Lovely.
Oh, it'd been a while, hadn't it? There was a few of the old chants coming out as well, which was great, but the return of the Poznan, I think, just really capped off a beautiful afternoon. And I mean, is there anything you don't want other than the fans doing the Poznan? Then our very own Sean Goat are doing the Poznan. Honestly, you see him here in a minute in the commentary position as well. Wow. He's absolutely.
He's one of one. He's one of one.
one of one. Who was your standout player for that game? I mean, they could have given it to everyone. I'm interested just to...
Yeah, as you say, could have said anyone. I think Foden, I was so impressed by him, and I wish when he flicked that ball over the defender's head, I wish that had been a goal. Because that's like Pushkas Awards standard.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I just love watching him play. But I think he was just always a threat, always sort of driving the centre-backs a bit bonkers with his movement, dropping into the pockets.
Yeah.
And I just think he's so difficult to play against.
Yeah, and
I think especially when he did it as well.
It just would have been stunning.
When there was jeopardy in the game and it was like they still believed they could get something out of the game, that's when he turned it on.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm flicking the ball over Harry Maguire there. I mean, talk about kicking a man when he's down. Yeah. And it's like, oh my God. I can't imagine what's going to go on in the England squad when they next meet up end of this month.
I was going to say, the best thing about this, for as much as like we love this football club, we love the players and stuff and the football that they play, United fans from the weekend are talking about the Gulf. They're looking at it thinking, these guys are so good. I heard someone say, this is the performance that you didn't want from City, which you know they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
I think we needed this game.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, off the back of Spurs, a couple of good results, obviously Peterborough and Everton, but there wasn't that performance. I've not seen that performance that we've seen during the back end of that run.
Yeah.
So I think we needed this bit of jeopardy, this little bit of steel, this little bit of rivalry. Not even in terms of, you know, the two teams, but in terms of the sitter.
Yes.
And I think we needed it. And I think that's the catalyst now. Hopefully we can go on.
And even the way they were celebrating the players on the field, like it's 3 points. And sometimes I get to level at City, it's like just a machine, they just keep going. Yeah. But you can see there was really motion because they won it, because they won a derby.
Yeah.
And won it well.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was one of the words I think Pep used as well, was said that the commitment that we had off the ball was the best we'd ever seen. And speaking of Pep, now I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but
Here we go.
I wanted to bring up a talking point from the
Here we
derby
go. Here we go.
I
Everybody
put
tune out for
forward
30 seconds.
to the production team, talking about a moment in the game where we made 51 passes and it ended in a chance. Total Pep ball. Lo and behold, what did Pep speak about in his pre-match conference? This very moment. Now, you know when Pep talks about his philosophy of when we've got the ball, obviously they can't do anything with it. This, I think, was in that time as well where we had 92% possession. I'll say this again, 92% possession in 15 minutes.
It's outrageous.
You
don't get that in training sessions with an overload. That's not a thing. You generally don't get that in a session. Like, it'd be 3 men down and you still have more than 8%.
Oh, wow.
But look at the character of all the players and the fact they know they can trust their goalkeeper. Like, it's incredible. Every movement as well. It's not completely, like, independent. The ball goes here, we go here. This is the right place to be. Pass, move options. And you can see United, they're broken now. They're sent to, waste of time. Here we go.
I mean, it's made for... Go on.
Their body language is just so demoralised. The United players, like, there's hands on knees, hands on hips, blowing because they've just been chasing for however long.
That's video game now.
Nasty, that.
Yeah, when you're just getting passed to death like that, and we had it last year when we played Barcelona a little bit, and it's horrible. You're just chasing left, right, and you can't get near them.
Yeah.
It's so demoralising.
That's bang out
But then
order,
when you're
actually.
on the other side of it, and the City, you will have done it as well. Is it literally kind of a poetry emotion that you're kind of almost a little bit on autopilot in a way?
Exactly. It just flows. It's so subconscious, and I think because you've done the repetition of those patterns so many times in training, you know exactly where someone's going to be. You know that the winger's going to be high and wide, that the 10's going to be in the pocket, and so it just becomes second nature. You don't even have to look up. You just know that someone's going to be there, and that's the style of play that Pep... I think it looks so complicated because it looks so nice, but it's really, really simple.
Just going off them patterns there, you say you know the number 10 is going to be in the pocket. If then the player that's pressing you tries to block that off, you'll take that space because they've given you, haven't they?
Well, yeah, and because Pep will give them 3 options.
Yeah.
If the opposition shuts off one option, they've obviously left someone else free.
Yeah.
So it's just the way his philosophy is you play what the opposition gives you. If the opposition plays narrow and lets you go wide, then you go wide.
And just on that pattern of play there, I was just watching, obviously Kyle Walker is super speedy. He got the ball, he didn't have many options on, so he worked the player, knowing that he's not going to risk the ball, worked him back, cut back, give space to somebody else, and then give him the ball. And it's like, everyone just understands it.
Well, that's it, because you sometimes watch it a bit, and it's funny, you get all sorts of fans in the say, some that you think maybe don't have the best football brain, and they go, you're just going side to side. But it's not that, is it? It's actually thought out, and there is a real process, and there's a method that is being played here where it's not just we're going to give it to Rodri and he might knock it to the right back. It's something that has very much been calculated and been practiced, hasn't it, Nedum?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And to think about it from the perspective of United there were probably 3 or 4 moments where they thought they were applying significant pressure, coming to press Rodri, coming to press Bernardo or whatever. but that's part of City's ploy. So you end up coming to a place where, like, you're wondering what's the point. Even earlier in the clip, I think it was Bruno Fernandes got rolled back to Ederson. He didn't even bother. Could you say, "Wow, what's the point here? I'm just going to be played around."
Yeah.
When you've got that feeling on a football field, it's demoralising.
Yeah.
You start to ask questions of not only yourself but your teammates. Like, I think there was a time.
Possibly coach.
Exactly, yeah. Because you're hoping that they're going to go and find something, but for United, they don't have the identity that City do and other good teams do. So they can't even revert back to something that's going to work because they've not found it yet. So that's the nightmare fuel for them.
The final thing I wanted to say, and we'll move on obviously to speak about Sporting in just a second, but you've got all of those ingredients, and then actually technically, I mean, these are some of the most gifted players, you know, I've had the privilege of watching, and I think it was Troy Deeney speaking about, he says, what you also don't realise and probably get unless you're on the pitch, is when they get to the final third, the passes aren't passes, they're pinging it. Like, at a frightening pace and power there, you think, you know, one, how do I even get intercept that? Second, can they actually control it? But you've got 11 players that are able to control it and do something with it. And I guess that's the final piece, is you can have all of that, but then you've got this unbelievable technical ability.
Yeah, I think the simplicity is in the tactical element, just having people in certain positions and playing passes the way you're facing. But the execution of it, you have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Every pass, every touch has to be weighted perfectly, otherwise the whole system falls. Everything's just got to be bob on, firing passes into your mate because you know he's going to flick it around the corner first time.
Yeah.
Everything has to be thought on ahead and executed to perfection, and that's where it's complicated.
Yeah.
I've not heard Bob on for ages. I love that.
Bob on,
21-year-old with a Bob on. Absolutely love to see it.
Bob on. And in fact, you know, mate, all I can think about, I think, was it Ivan Toney after the Brentford game. It's like, sir, can we have another ball? Because the year 11's nicked ours. That's what it was like, wasn't it? If you've just tuned in, thank you for joining us on Matchday Live. My name is Cel Spellman. We are, of course, building up to our Champions League game, second leg against Sporting Lisbon. Current aggregate score is 5-0 to City. We've brought you our starting 11. You can see it on the bottom of the screen there. This is our Sporting 11, who we'll be playing against. Sadly, we can't bring up the team, but I can read this out to you. It looks like this. We've got Adan in net. Of course, Porro, a name that might be familiar with some City fans. He's our low knee. He's at the full-back. You've got Coates and Inarchio, Neto, Reese, Ugarte, Sarabia, Tabata, Paulinho, and Slimani. And on their bench, you have got Paulo, Virginia, Fedal, Santos, Vindre, Edwards, Esgaio, Esugo, Ribeiro, and Viega. There might have been a couple mispronunciations there, and I do apologise. Wow, that made me got me hot under the collar, that one. Wow, we got sweating it. The first things first, the elephant in the just cut to a VT now. The elephant in the room, Nedum, I'll come to you, is how do you approach a game like this for Sporting? They've not come into it in the greatest run of form anyway from the Portuguese league. 5-0 down. What is, and you come into the Etihad having just watched them absolutely demolish United. What's the mentality? Where do you begin?
I think you understand the circumstances around the game, and the aim is to try and win the game. You know, if it ends up being a win that means that it's extra competitive come the end, then great. But I think there's a sense of pride that has to go in there, because, you know, in the knockout rounds of a Champions League, going 5 goals down is absolutely not the thing that you need to be doing, even if you're going to play the next game at home and so on. So for them, it's a sense of pride. I think they've made a couple of changes. I think Slimani was at Leicester, and then Quartes as well. This is a guy who used to play for Liverpool. So, you know, and I think Neto, was he the one that was it Wolves, or is that a different one?
I think that's another different one.
But the fact is, as I say, it's a pride game. You've got a Champions League match, and as we'll see, like, every one of these Champions League games matters, because you never know what your last one's going to be.
Yes.
So for them, they have to go out, put in a good performance, and who knows, maybe they'll gain momentum, which will take them forward for the rest of their season. You know, don't necessarily be bogged down by the fact you start 5-0 down. Approach the game because it's 0-0. Try and win it.
They have, of course, got threats, Trev, you know, and this is Champions League. This is where you're coming up against some of the world's best. If can you see Sporting maybe coming to have it a go, or do you think it might be a little bit more, soak up a bit of the pressure and try counter, possibly?
Not sure. Whatever their tactic's going to be, they have to commit to it, because I think there's going to be a bit of fear, because they're coming to the Etihad, obviously, 5-0 down from the first leg. If you've not got fear, then you'll get absolutely smashed. You've got to have a little bit of fear, because that gets you on your toes, brings the best out of you. And, you know, it's similar to pride. You've got to go out there and give a proper performance.
Yeah.
But at the end of the game, you think, you know what, I'll give everything there. We still might be out of the tournament, but I give everything. So they've got to come, they've got to start well. Because if they don't start well and City go 1 or 2 up, this could be absolutely messy. So, and that's where the fear kicks in.
Yeah.
So they'll have to start with high intensity, make sure when they lose the ball, get behind the ball if they're not going to press high, get behind the ball, stick to task, don't go to ground, don't make mistakes, and communicate.
Yeah.
It's, the same old. Any defender will tell you, make sure the gaps are not big, communicate with each other, keep the units tight, and then make sure you just patient, and when you get the ball, can you be brave? Can you look after it a little bit better, and then start building confidence from there? And if they do, they might start seeing a few little chinks. There might be a bit of complacency with Manchester City, and they might be able to start getting a bit of headway.
Yeah, and I mean it is 5-0, but I guess the important thing as well for City, Esme, is to go. This is another game almost 0-0, so you don't get complacent. It's not quite the same, but my mind casts back to that Monaco game, or you think PSG and Barcelona. So it can happen, and there is a focus that's required from the City players as well.
Yeah, and I think the standards that the team holds within themselves going into every game, they're not going to want to let their standards slip just purely because they're 5-0 up. They want to carry on the momentum that they've taken from the United game and obviously take that into the next game at the weekend. And as you say, they can't be taken lightly. The Champions League is the biggest competition obviously in Europe.
Yeah.
And they've got some good players. I was really impressed by Porro last time, and he's not going to want to be on the receiving end of another 5-0 against his parent club. So, these players have got pride, as you said. They've got things they want to play for, and I don't think City are going to take them lightly at all. Yeah. The players have got such high standards that they'll all be wanting to put in a performance.
You say that, though, but the mind plays tricks on you, don't it? When it's a situation like this, you feel you're going into it fully committed. But if it's at 50-50, you might not want to go into it because you think, I don't want to get injured and be out of the team. So it is a balancing act, but you just got to be professional as Manchester City player. Go be professional, do things right, and I think things will look after themselves.
I think you'd be naive to say you don't think about the fact you're 5-0 up going into the game. But I think for these guys, what makes them great is the fact that winning matters, and winning matters in everything that they do. So if they start off sloppy and they're 1-2 down, do you think Pep will be on the sideline saying it's fine because we're 5-4?
But and actually, this game, even though we won it 5-0, Pep after the game wasn't happy about a few things, and then on the back of that, we got beat off Spurs. So there'll be a few things that are triggering him. I think he'll give him a little bit of a dressing down before this game, because sometimes if you send him out saying same as Saturday or same as Sunday, that doesn't happen. He might give him a little bit of a dressing down, get him on edge, make sure they know they're playing for the positions in the team, and then they'll probably get a reaction.
I think the other team is, you look at the starting 11, and these aren't people who are playing every single game. Like, you look at Zinchenko, Fernandinho, Gundogan even's not been starting recently. So they're going to want to come into the team and stake a claim for their place. And
it's ridiculous that you just even said that as well.
Exactly. But Pep's not going to be happy if these players come in and think, we're 5-0 up and it'll just be a stroll in the park. I think these are players who will want to win their place back. Sterling obviously didn't start at the weekend. He's going to want to say, well, why have you left me out? This is what I'm capable of.
These are the matches where the manager looks at you just that a little bit deeper, I think. Because if you show complacency, that means that you won't be trusted. You're heading towards the business end of the season, and these games matter. You don't want to have a time where you look back and say, but in this game you didn't try, and I need you to try. And also, I don't know if you're the same as me, Esme. What's it fair? Maybe not me. But there are some players, they gain confidence, like the winning thing. I know some people that win a 5-a-side on a Friday and adamant they're going to win on a Saturday because of it. So if you think about that for a training session amongst your peers, all these games matter. This could be 3 wins in a row, 4 wins in a row. You don't want to be breaking that, because that winning feeling, whatever the context of it, is still something that drives it. That's why we play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Thank you so much to you all as well. And you're not going anywhere. We're sticking around. We've still got around half an hour till kick-off at the Etihad Stadium. I know. No, go get a little bottle or something.
Cheers.
But before we, of course, do a little focus on our club captain's day, who makes his 100th appearance in the Champions League, and wait till I mention some of the players that he's overtaken in that list. We're going to play a little game. Who's stat? It's very simple. We give you 3 clues. Throughout the show, we then ask you to send in your suggestions of who that player is, also putting it to our guests in the studio. And I can bring you up clue number 1 now. Here we go. So this is who's stats. First player. This player scored his first City goals, in goals, plural there, in a big win over Arsenal. Okay.
I've got it.
Have you?
I think so, yeah.
Is it like current squad or like any point?
It can be any. It can be any, really.
Are you still as confident?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Well, there you go.
That's big energy,
Have you been looking at that piece of paper over there?
No, I can write it down.
We'll save it to
I won't change my
my
answer.
Honestly, I can actually say as well, you're the first person that I've been on with that's got it after clue number 1.
Wow.
So there you go, Esme. Well played.
Well, I might not have got it.
No, you've not got it
I
right.
might be very
you seem very confident though.
Yeah. This
Goals
might be
as well,
before a swift fall.
Yeah, well, we got clue number 2 before the end of the show, so might see if you can get it right. But if you're like Esme and gone, nailed this, can get this, please send it into our WhatsApp number. And also, while you're on there, we want to hear what you think of our club captain, Fernandinho, because today marks his 100th appearance in the Champions League. Now, just to put that into context, that's overtaken the likes of Luka Modric, Frank Lampard, and also when we say the Champions League, this is not like a Premier League where you're playing, 36, 38 games in the season. You might sometimes just do the group games. Just how, first of all, massive is that, Trev? 100 appearances in the Champions League for Shakhtar Donetsk and, of course, Manchester City.
Well, I think it shows that he's an unbelievable athlete. His mentality to want to be involved, be in the first team, and to stay at the top. You don't get to 100 games in the Champions League if you've not got that drive and that commitment to whatever team you're at. And I think absolutely amazing achievement. The players that you just mentioned, for him to overtake them, doesn't get injured, always available, always top draw.
I mean, as two Manchester City fans, Nate, I'm going to begin with you. Just how would you summarise and epitomise Fernandinho's time in a Manchester City
If I knew this was going to be a segment, I would have had his shirt on right now. Like, Fernandinho is one of my favourite all-time City players for the sort of style of play that he brings, because, like, people say, oh, he's an enforcer, he passes sideways. No, he doesn't. He's a brilliant footballer, and he's somebody who you're desperate to play alongside. I remember I felt like I was privileged to play with, like, Gareth Barry. I thought he was brilliant, like, understated hero. But Fernandinho's taken that to the whole next level. And that 100 Champions League games, I dreamt of playing one. I remember City's very first one here against Napoli. I was in the squad, and the excitement around it was tremendous. And he's played 100 games. Yeah. I think sometimes when we just say it, it's like, oh, it's 100. But it's the context, as you've said. You need to be doing well year in, year out, not just for your team, but like you as an individual, because the places that you're at, it's probably easy to drop you. Yeah. He's been trusted for that long, and he's been as successful as he has. As I say, for me, top 5 City players of all time.
Really is. And, of course, 9 seasons. I mean, I just hope he's another one that I hope at least makes 10. Sign him up.
Because you want a testimonial, that's why. You want to get involved in that. This guy is hungry to play next to him.
Just to put all you ex-pros in your place. Hang on, listen.
Okay, buddy.
I've set myself up there, haven't I? But, it's 9 seasons, Esme. And actually, he's played through, a few different managers now in a few different roles. Jamie Redknapp described him as the best holding defensive midfielder in the Premier League. Would you agree with that?
I would, yeah. I think as a fan, if the other team was breaking on the counter-attack, you sort of felt a little bit more relaxed than you would have done if he wasn't there, because you back him to sweep up. He'd just go over, maybe make the odd tactical foul, but most of the time it'd be a nice clean challenge and he'd just win the ball back and snuff out any attacks. And I just think he's so reliable in that sense. But I also think he doesn't get enough credit for how he is going forward. As we said, he plays some unbelievable passes forward, but some of the goals he's scored, I'm sure you could create a pretty good reel of Fernandinho worldies that have planted themselves in the top corner. So I don't think he gets enough credit for his attacking output either.
No, I mean, and that's the thing, it's his all-round game, Trevor. I mean, we could probably sit here and speak about an hour, about him, but just, for maybe someone who doesn't know football, how difficult is it to have done what he's done at the level he's done it for as long as he's done it?
Well, it's extremely difficult. And I think a talent in itself is realising what your role is. And when you've got incredible players about you, as Manchester City have, I feel sometimes you have to work out what your role is. And I've been there when I played with really big stars, and you think, right, well, he does this better than me, he does that better than me, I'm going to do this. But at times, like you just mentioned there, he's had to pop up with the odd worldie and score a goal. But his passing range, his selflessness for the team. Yeah. And I think that's a big thing. You don't see it a lot in the game these days.
What
a finish that is,
He's such a selfless player. He doesn't mind other people getting the limelight. Yeah. He's happy enough to just give them the ball and make sure he helps out at the back defensively. Organisation. He's a leader. Yeah. And, you look at his age now. What is he, 37? Starting a Champions League game. I mean, it's testament to his professional.
And we're gonna speak about the man off the pitch as well. And Esme, you touched upon it there as well. But you want the clean, beautiful side of it. But as we know, football isn't just a beautiful game. You sometimes need someone to do a little bit of the dirty work, whether that be that little kind of yellow card foul, or it is just getting in the opposition's eyes and ears. And that's something he does brilliantly. I mean, I remember the PSG game.
Oh, the PSG game was like prime Fernandinho. Everyone at home was like, yes, Fernandinho, yes. Like, not everybody's capable of doing that. some people that do that don't get respect because people are like, you're an idiot or whatever. But he understands when to change the temperature within the game.
Yeah.
Whether it's a case of sweeping up and taking a ball here, playing a ball forward, upsetting somebody that's having a big effect for the opposition. Like I don't think you can really train that. I think some people have a sense for it. And like that's who you want to have in your side because he's somebody who you can rely upon. Even like Esme said, he scored some great goals, and now we've run 5 versions of that horrendous goal that he's just scored.
I know, really, producer stitching me right up.
Exactly, yeah. But the fact is, even with that, he's able to sort of sense the right place to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, at this time for Fernandinho, getting up ahead of the ball was a big difference. That was a big goal in a big game for City.
Yeah.
And he's, obviously, it's not the cleanest strike in the world.
Very Sean Go-to-ish.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to kick it really badly to throw the goalkeeper off. But,
That touch was unreal, though.
Yeah, he's brilliant. It's someone who I'd have loved to play with.
Yeah.
Because you have so much comfort knowing, in terms of attack, you know you can give him the ball.
Yeah.
In terms of defence, you know he's got a great chance of dealing with whatever's coming. So you know whatever comes to you won't be of the highest quality because that last barrier before it gets to you is so good.
Quicker than you think as well. Got speed, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he wants to eat up the ground.
Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking about the man off the pitch, and I want to begin by saying, if you wanted a reason and you think, could I love this man anymore? Very well, if you didn't know this, he actually paid a little bit of his transfer fee when we signed him from Shakhtar Donetsk to put him through. I think it was a couple of the add-ons. There might have been about a couple mil or whatever. I think he paid it himself to make the move, which just as well says so much about him. Do you know what I mean?
Listen, I was lucky enough to interview him for a broadcast that I work for, and it was like he'd been a pro about a couple of years. He come in, he was on time, he was very courteous, very just such a humble guy. And for what he's achieved in the game,
yeah.
you know, you could excuse him for coming in with his flip-flops on and you know, being a bit casual and a little bit late. He was absolutely just a top pro.
Yeah, pure
and you know
class.
that whatever he does in his life, he's going to do well. And it doesn't surprise me that, you know, he's got a very stable family life. He's a real icon. And he's a great role model for any kid looking at the game.
Yeah, we love his son as well, by the way. It was a beautiful moment a few games ago when his son was a ball boy, and I also was loving his son on Instagram when the Jack Grealish signing was going through. He was pushing for it like us all wanted. But speaking about the man off the pitch, and Esme, you were talking about it before, you know, the older players kind of do have a responsibility, I guess, for the younger players in a way. But, you know, all you have to do is talk to people around the club and read between the lines. It's not just younger players. Behind the scenes in the dressing room, he is such a key, influential figure and leader, which is mad to think you lose Vincent Kompany and go, who's filled in his shoes? Fernandinho. And it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's so important for so many of the players. We were talking before the game last year when we were in a bit of a difficult patch. He sort of got everyone together and galvanised the team and said, this isn't acceptable, what are we going to do about it? And I think to have that sort of person who gets so much respect off the other players, because these are world-class footballers who could well have big egos, but they don't. They all respect him so much, and he's such an important leader in the team and has so much influence in setting the standards every day and ensuring that they're all behaving in the way that's conducive to us being so successful. And I think a lot of the success, Pep always attributes a lot to him over the last few years because he's so important in how the team is cohesive.
I totally agree. And, you know, we were talking off air about this, and you think because he's older, you know, he takes up that leadership role, but he's been there for 9 years. Like, that's what makes him a leader within that. Like, by the time Phil, if he stays at the club, he's 28, 29 years of age, he'd have been playing for 10 years. So the way that he'll be looked at will be similar to the way that, say, Fernandinho was, because he's become part of the fabric of what the football club is. And that is incredible, because when you look back to the way City was, like the early 2000s, it almost felt like it was a revolving door. But then when more money came in, some of the players you've brought have stayed 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And that's key, in my opinion, in terms of setting the identity. And as you walk in there, you want to see those people. Because they could have bought Fernandinho at 35, and at 37 now, he wouldn't be the same sort of person that he is. But it's Fernandinho who's been there for 9 years. And that's, for me, is more important than how old he is, because he understands he's been through it with the club. And as you arrive, this is what the club is.
And they're setting standards, aren't they, for the next generation of players coming through, for your Fodens, for the young players coming through now. But not only that, for Kevin De Bruyne's coming through, who are now leaders. They know standards that he's set, Fernandinho's set, that when Fernandinho does retire and stop playing for Manchester City, that's going to be left with Kevin De Bruyne to then pass on to the next one. And that's something of, I mean, it's a beautiful thing because the club won't change. And we're talking about, you know, there's been a few rumours about when Pep leaves and when Pep, you know, when Pep leaves, this will continue because it's in motion now.
Yeah.
The philosophy is going to stay at this football club. It doesn't matter what manager comes in. This philosophy is here to stay.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, especially being kind of, older players, I guess.
Well,
I'll take that.
No,
thank you.
He's turning 50 next.
Thank you. You've got a young player, all relative. Yeah, thanks, all relative.
That is below the belt.
Relax.
But I was reading a line, I can't remember who it was, when it was that kind of, when we were in a tough moment, and they were actually saying that, say if the players had a slight niggle with Pep's system, or something that wasn't working for them, who is going to be the person that goes and tells Pep, I know you know the football, but this isn't working. He is that man for them. Like how do you go about that as a player to actually be the man that says, all right, I'll talk to the manager and tell him if something isn't working for us?
I think you don't elect yourself. You get elected by the people.
Yeah.
Because they know that you have their best interests at heart. You understand what the club's about and what the players are about. And as a consequence, you always find it like not everybody wants to speak, but everybody has opinions.
Yeah.
But if you can have somebody like that who can go and deliver an opinion in a way which isn't hostile, an opinion that's for the greater good, because Fernandinho, he might deliver an opinion which means that he's not playing in the week, but it means that the right team's going out and doing the right thing come Saturday, and that selflessness is like what you want in your football.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you just say, like, I think he'll have a special relationship with Pep anyway,
yes,
because he's been working with him for so long, and because he understands the philosophy that Pep's trying to teach these new players that are coming into the football club. So if there is problems, he'll know how to deliver that to the manager. It'll be taken in the right way, and it'll be sorted out. And there might be a little tweak. Listen, I know he sticks to his philosophy, Pep, but there might be a couple of things where he might think, you know what, I understand what he's saying there. I'll either help him with it or I'll slightly adjust it so it suits him. And that's just professionalism. That's sticking with your philosophy, but getting the best out of the players as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Final word on Fernandinho, and I think this kind of summarises his time, especially under Pep, best. You cannot forget the positions that he has covered and played in and also done supremely well in. He's played as a right-sided centre-back, a left-sided centre-back, a right-back, a left-back, a centre midfielder, left of midfield as well, and I think he's also moved over to right of midfield towards the end of a game. Esme is a player. How do you do that? How can you play so many positions?
Literally baffled it. That was like a real in-depth explanation.
Well, you look at the right-hand side of the pitch, I come in, but then to transfer it to the left and then also maybe move to centre of defence where you've never been, the back, the final line of defence of the pitch. Yeah, how can you go about doing that? Is it intelligence?
Yeah,
is it ability?
Exactly that. I think it's a testament to his intelligence of football as a whole. He's obviously very attentive in training sessions to know exactly what's required of all of the different roles around him. I think that's a difficult thing as a player because you're so focused on getting your job right.
Yes.
But I think players like Fernandinho and so many in the first team, they have that awareness of what everyone else's role is, so when called upon, they can just slot in.
Yeah.
And as we've said, the variety of skills that he has, he's not just good out of possession, he's good on the ball, and that lends itself to being able to slot in anywhere because the skills are transferable. He's technically so brilliant, he's athletic, he's obviously very commanding in his communication as well, and you can put that type of player anywhere on the pitch.
Yeah, you really, really can. Beautifully put. Fernandinho, we love you. I bloody love you, and thank you for everything you've done so far. And please don't go.
Listen,
he knows already.
Club, I don't have much power in this club, but give the man what he wants. Give the man what he wants. Thanks for joining us on Matchday Live. You've just tuned in. We've got 15 minutes until our game against Sporting Lisbon kicks off. But I want to bring you a new feature that we're bringing to Matchday Live. The lads have all warmed up. They're heading back to the dressing room. I think we just saw the back of their CJ Egan-Riley. He is in the starting 11. Of course, the EDS club captain. He is starting at right back, and we are starting to kind of put a little shine of light on some of the academy players that you might not know too much about. Well, do not worry, we'll get you covered here on Matchday Live, and we begin. I mean, who would have thought it? That we've absolutely nailed it. CJ Egan-Riley, here he is, giving us a little tour of the academy, and us putting some questions to him.
CJ, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. You just finished training?
Yeah, I just finished now.
How was it?
Yeah, it was great. Enjoyed the session. It was good.
Good stuff. I know you're a fullback by trade, but do you fancy being a tour guide for us quick?
Yeah, no worries. I can do that for you.
Nice one. I'll just ask you a few questions while we go as well, if that's all right. So, let's start off right at the start of your day. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
I had poached eggs and toast and then a yoghurt.
Oh, nice. Do you enjoy it then?
Yeah, it was great.
Good stuff. If you had to pick a type of egg, what's your favourite?
For sure poached eggs, but I like scrambled as well.
What three things would you take on a desert island?
Definitely a football, picture of my family, and probably my PlayStation.
And what was the last TV box set you watched?
At the moment I'm watching Power, but the last one that I finished was Vikings.
Have you got a dream pet?
I want to get a dog when I move out.
Have you had a dog before?
Yeah, my grandma and granddad had one when I was younger.
What breed was it?
German Shepherd.
Oh, amazing. Can you remember the last person you called on the phone?
My granddad, actually, because it was his birthday today, so I called him on the way to training.
Oh, happy birthday to him. Would you describe yourself as an early bird or a night owl?
I'd probably say a night owl.
Sweet or savoury?
Savoury for me.
Is there one item that you couldn't live without?
Footballs.
Tell us something about yourself that no one else knows.
I'm not sure, let me think. I'm not that interesting, but I watch Gossip Girl, so that's like a kind of a guilty pleasure, you could say.
Nothing guilty about that. They the boots you're wearing at the moment?
Yeah.
Nice one. What type are they?
The Nike Phantoms.
Nice one. Are they your favourites you've worn?
They're good, but the favourite, like when I was younger growing up, was the CTR 360s, and I also like the Magistas.
Oh, great shout. So, if you had to choose a job other than being a footballer, what would it be?
When I was younger, I always said I wanted to be in the army.
Have you got a favourite joke?
I don't really do jokes, to be honest.
Don't blame you.
That's a good answer there. That is CJ Egan-Riley now is the EDS captain, but he's in our starting 11 tonight. And sweet or savoury, Nedum? Are you a sweet or savoury lad?
I've been sweet my whole life.
Sweet, baby. So you are. Hey, Trev, sweet or savoury?
I'm old now. Savoury.
Savoury. Esme?
Boring, sweet.
Yeah.
I don't
The
think
young
that'll ever
people go for
change
sweet.
either.
The young people go for sweet.
But you've probably seen him around. Is he a lovely lad and obviously captain as well? He's another leader on the pitch.
Yeah, I always see him in the gym. He's always doing stuff in the gym. So that is what struck me about him, is I thought he really does all the right things, like professionalism-wise. He's always doing his things before training, and then a lot of the time they'll all sort of be kicking around doing keepy uppies and stuff in the gym, but he's so focused doing his weights and things like that. So genuinely that stood out to me about him.
Nice. Well, of course, you're both academy products, of course, come through the academy Lifelong Blues as well, which we love. And Nedum, you actually you kind of
This is alarming now. Somebody stitched me up here. This is going to be planning.
Circa 2009.
Oh, look at this. That's what I used to talk.
The slow-mo!
Oh my goodness.
Nedum!
Oh my goodness. Wow, this is a feature.
How old were you here?
That's 2000. This is 2009.
Okay.
22 would have been.
20. Do you know what? I'll say, you haven't changed. You look the exact
That's
same.
what I was going to say.
Listen, you don't need to say it, we know. It's all good. It's all good. It speaks for itself.
Tell you what, there we go. You were the first. You kind of pioneered the way.
That was an Audi A3. You know, that's
Nice.
4 years into my career. You know what I mean? Keep it humble.
Yeah, keep it.
You know what I mean?
on the
Nothing
down
too
low,
drastic.
yeah.
Talk
Low
about
key.
place it used to be. All that good stuff.
Trevor, you seeing that and going, yeah, I remember going past you a few times and training that young Nedum there.
No,
In my
I like that about
Ferrari.
young players. I really do. I like it because I've seen play. I mean, we had a player, Trebelsi. I mean, he didn't really have the opportunity to play because he was injured a lot. But the first day he turned up at training in a 250 grand car,
The SLS,
and we
was
were
it?
like, "Wow,
Yes.
he's got to be a player." And then he didn't contribute, and we was like, "Oh," and he was a popular lad as well.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
But like to turn up in a car like that, it's a statement,
back it
isn't
up,
it?
Yeah.
I know you do. I mean, Esme's is parked outside though, so.
My car's embarrassing. It's actually talk of the academy. It's so old.
Hey,
I
at
love
least
it
it's got
though.
parking
here
space
for
though,
it.
do you know what I mean? I don't want to bring that up, but somebody's...
Listen,
Yeah, you're
it's
actually
quiet
not
for a
meant
while
to be
about
here.
that.
This is awkward.
No, the old cars are the best. I'm a little Polo,
Yeah,
Paolo
I've
the
got a
Polo.
Punto.
I used to
What's
have
it
a Polo,
called?
yeah.
Pablo.
Pablo.
Mine's called Pablo.
So, hold on, so you had a Polo? You got a Polo?
Punto.
Yeah, I've got a Polo. I had a Polo as well when I was first there.
Trev,
Wow.
He had a Ferrari. That's what you had.
Yeah.
I had an Escort.
He was whizzing past you in his Ferrari.
Exactly. Yeah.
people might be tuning into Top Gear here now. It's a Matchday Live. And we've not got long before I'm going to hand over to Alistair Mann, who's got commentary. You can get that on the City Plus app, by the way. He's joined by Andy Morrison, which is well worth you getting your ears around that. You can do that, of course, when we finish. I'll be handing to him in just over 5 minutes. Let me just recap our starting 11 and get final thoughts from our brilliant brilliant guests today on the show. Ederson starts in goal. It's a Champions League debut for CJ Egan-Riley starting at right back. John Stones and Laporte centre halves. Zinchenko at left back. We've got club captain Fernandinho making his 100th Champions League appearance, holding alongside Ilkay Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. And then it is a forward three of Raheem Sterling, Phil Foden and Gabriel Jesus. The bench is made up of Scott Carson, Kieran Slicker, Jack Grealish, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, Kaiki, Delap, Samadozi, Luke Mbete and James McAtee. Trev, I'll come to you. How can you see this playing out this evening?
Well, I think to start with, I think CJ is going to need help. You know, it's a big game for him in the Champions League. So Ederson, Stones and probably Gundogan, the players closest to him, will be communicating with him, making him feel at ease, making him feel comfortable. Do what you do. Yeah. He's been doing football for, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. Do what you do. Don't get nervous. This is what you do every day. So enjoy it. You know, we'll always be here supporting you, communicating with you, both in and out of possession. But listen, the boys have got responsibility. Young lad coming in the team, make sure you all work hard for him.
And of course, you know, we've got that 5-0 lead, of course, on aggregate Nedum, but that's not, you know, we can't say it again, counting any chickens. You know, this is kind of a clean
It's as close as you can be, but yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. And I think, like, Pep set the tone by picking this team. You know, he could have made 9-10 changes if he really wanted to, but the fact is every game matters. And for CJ to be given the opportunity is fantastic. And I think the best thing about it is what's going to be asked of him in terms of style of play is exactly what he does when he captains the EDS. And that's the beauty of this football club. So good luck to him coming up against tougher opposition. But I think he'll have the confidence in the fact that, as I say, he's done it so many times before.
And of course, we've got a few additions to the lineup that weren't playing at the weekend. Raheem Sterling comes back into the fold, Esme. We've got Gabriel Jesus as well and Ilkay Gundogan. You just know if those three kind of click alongside, obviously, your Bernardos and Foden, there could be a few goals tonight.
Yeah, the combinations in and around the box with those three are always so exciting. They're so sharp, Jesus and Sterling. I think the speed at which they can get in behind, I think Sporting really struggled with that in the first leg, the sort of third man runs in behind for the balls. I could see Sterling getting a few today. I think he's been on really good form recently, and I'm really excited to watch him today.
Okay, well, speaking of that then, shall we do our predictions for the game? And we'll begin with you, Esme. How can you see this playing out?
Here we go.
Oh,
this is
do
a
I
trap,
have to
by the
go
way.
first?
This is always... no, I'll go first if you want. I'm going to say 3-1 City.
3-1 City from Nedum Onuoha. Trevor Sinclair.
I'll go 2-0.
2-0.
Yeah,
Solid.
managed the game well.
Nice.
Oh, I was going to say 4-0.
Oh, well, no,
Let's give you 4-0.
It's 4-0.
Go where you go.
I'm backing the defenders clean sheet.
4 goals.
Yeah,
a
we'll
little
be a bit nicer to them than the other week.
Yeah, just by one
Let's
goal.
not embarrass them with 5.
No
just
double
the 4.
figures.
Yeah, just the 4.
Don't want to be too nasty.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, honestly, and I know everyone watching will have loved it, so thank you for your time. We are all going to be back at half-time and then at full-time, as we are every game with Matchday Live. And right now I'm able to hand over to Alistair Mann and Andy Morrison, who have got comms for us. Our players are in the tunnel. Alistair Mann, over to you, sir. Enjoy the game.
Thank you very much indeed. I will do my very best to enjoy this evening. It will be a very different kind of match to the one that we so enjoyed on Sunday. It's not very often as a professional you go into a match with a 5-0 lead before you even kicked a ball. But because of that towering 5-0 demolition of Sporting Lisbon in the first leg 3 weeks ago in the Portuguese capital, it means the Blues' passage into the quarter-finals of the Champions League does appear within touching distance already. Make no mistake, though, they'll be tackling tonight's second leg as if the score was goalless. They'll be seeking to add another victory to their recent run of success. The